I went to Barnard and majored in English. And then I went to Yale and got my master's in directing at the Yale School of Drama. And then I was unemployed. Well, my start in television was I married because it was in the 60s. And I married a Yale lawyer who was a very sweet but stuffy kind of person I wasn't very madly in love with. I wasn't even in love with it, I don't think, but I needed to be married to travel, and I wanted to travel. Women just couldn't travel alone then, and all my girlfriends were either in graduate school or married or whatever. He didn't want me to work in the evenings or on weekends. And I thought that that's what you do when you get married. You have to be home in the evenings and you have to make dinner or something on the weekends. And so theater was out, and that was my background. I really wanted to be a director. And I think I would have been a very good theater director. And maybe I'll get a chance one day to do that, but I think that was my real passion at the time. And that's what I had majored in at Yale, and I was very, very good at it. But I thought if you're going to be married and have someone to travel with, and he wants you to be home on the evenings and weekends, you can't be in the theater. So someone told me there was a place called USIA, and they did television shows. And I thought, oh, well, that's a government job, and I'll be home at 5:30 and do laundry or whatever you're supposed to do when you're married. And I went for an interview, and when I went in for the interview for like a secretarial job, it said auditions, adventures in English. There was an arrow, and I went in the old post office building in Washington to this audition. And I really didn't have a resume or anything like that, but I knew enough about acting, and I was not a good actress. All I had to do was act like a secretary to a professor who would be teaching English. This is so boring anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I started teaching English with Professor Richards. His name was Professor Richards, my name was Jean, and we would discuss, it was based on, I think, a 1,200 word vocabulary. And so for 2 years, we conversed in this 1,200 word vocabulary. We did 65 shows a year. And I was, I guess, an actress. You know, I'd say, good morning, Professor Richards. Look at the moon. He'd say, I see the moon. He'd say, see the stars. I'd say, I see the stars. And we would just take those 3 or 4 new words of the day and repeat them again and again. I think it was like 17 minutes, maybe it was more. And that's what I did. And that's how I got into television. And that's where I met people who were working on the other side of the camera. And ultimately, I became a floor manager and a PA and an AD. And did I ever direct there? I don't think so. I think it was an AD. And then the people I knew came to New York. I went to New York, which is where I was from. And then I started to work in television. So I kind of slipperied into television. Oh, I still don't know where I want to be. It's where I am. Where I want to be? I don't know. I want to be somewhere. I don't know where, but no, I didn't have a burning passion to be in television. I needed a job. I needed money. I left my first husband. I came to New York. I needed a job, and I knew television. I actually knew technically television because I had been on camera, so I knew all about, you know, how you had to be on camera. And then I knew about people who stood around holding, you know, signs, and I knew about being a PA, and I knew about being an assistant camera. I mean, I knew it from being on this side, and then I thought, well, I don't want to be on, I want to be off. And so I slithered into that. And a lot of the people that I worked with, like Don Misher, went on to have great television careers, and George Schlatter, and a lot of these people that I was doing garbage work for or who drifted by, I tracked down when I got to New York, and I wound up working on things on the other side of the camera. And I never really wanted to be on camera. Although I did get offered a job once by Don Hewitt when he was auditioning for 60 Minutes. And he wanted to audition me to be on camera. And having been through this other experience, I never wanted to be on camera. And I didn't audition. And you know, I might have been Diane Sawyer if I was really lucky. But I didn't. I turned out to be Sheila Nevins. I'm pretty lucky, I guess.